Lloyd Austin, the Secretary of Defense, issued, quote, a stand down of the entire military in 2021 because he falsely believed the military is systematically racist. What an insult to our brave men and women. General Milley, instead of fulfilling his constitutional duty to serve Donald Trump, the duly elected president at the time, representing the voice of the American people, conspired with both Nancy Pelosi and foreign adversary, the CCP, on separate occasions to hatch plans to overthrow the sitting president of the United States. What insurrection, you say? The point of all these actions is clear. Cleanse the military of conservatives.
Wow, that is cute. I guess the gentleman from Arizona believes that General Milley, Nancy Pelosi, and China conspired to take down Donald Trump. Yeah, I'm sure. That's all that happened to go down during a congressional hearing on, what was it? Not on conspiracy theories, but the historic decline in military recruitment. Yeah, so the GOP wants to blame wokeness for that. But before we get to the likely cause, let's look at what diversity in the US Armed Forces actually looks like, courtesy of Representative Maxwell Frost.
I even heard somebody bring up one of the witnesses, an unspoken rule on pressures of promotions can be based on quotas or DEI or et cetera. I think it's important to know 76% of active duty officers in the US military right now are white. And so I highly doubt that there's an unspoken pressure that is pushing people to promote based on DEI, race, or et cetera. Our military has about 1.3 million active personnel. However, women recruits continue to climb. Men still make up 82% of our military. I think it's important to know that recent surveys have found that an estimate 21% of women in the military and about 4% of men have experienced unwanted sexual contact in the prior year.
Yeah, as an expert on workplace sexual harassment who has done the research, I can definitely tell you that you're gonna get a lot more harass holes in environments where they are homogenous and people come through who are a little bit different. And when it comes to different in the military, I can tell you one thing that's not different, it's cis-het white men. As you can see from this chart here, and as Maxwell Frost said, yeah, that's right. Racially, white people dominate when it comes to the military. Yet I would like to think every group can fight no matter what color they are or gender. But still, the military is pushing this idea that wokeness is the reason why that there's been a decline in military recruitment. I doubt that is the case. But as we look at this headline here per military.com, it definitely seems they are still doubling down on their woke criticism after Army says safety's top recruiting is the challenge. That's right. Young people do not necessarily want to get out there and risk their lives, especially if they're not necessarily going to get paid a lot, which we'll discuss in a moment. There is no validity so far in all to this wokeness agenda. Just ask Lieutenant General David Barno, who testified yesterday.
Aware of any studies that actually have any factual data that support that assertion? I also know that at least two service chiefs, the Commandant of the Marine Corps, General Berger, and the Chief of Staff of the Air Force, General C.Q. Brown, have both said that wokeism is not, there's no such thing as not affecting military readiness. They see no evidence that this is a problem inside their two services. And I think that applies in the recruiting domain as well. But no, in terms of actual evidence, I've not seen that.
No one's seen any evidence. But what we definitely have seen evidence of is the fact that people can't, make ends meet when they work for the military? Yeah, Congressman Jamie Raskin put the truth out there. It all boils down to money.
Potential recruits are not afraid of going woke, they're afraid of going broke. Pay and benefits are so low that the RAND Corporation estimates that more than a quarter, 26% of our military service members are food insecure, and 14% actually use food assistance programs like food banks to meet their family needs.
Yeah. The fact is that people are struggling. They do not want to put their lives on the line, potentially face some physical harm, also be subjected to sexual harassment, mistreatment because they're different, all because they're gonna take home a few coins, not even enough so that they can live and support their families. So yeah, it's not looking good for the military. Jessica.
I have so many thoughts on this. I cannot believe there is a congressional hearing on the decline in US military recruitment numbers, and sitting members of Congress are saying that that is because of wokeness. There were people in the streets protesting the war in Iraq. There were people in the streets protesting the Vietnam War, and Black Americans were sent to fight in the Vietnam War despite being denied their rights at home. The majority of the people in the United States did not support the US intervening in the war in Nicaragua. And still, our members of Congress, after voting unanimously, promising that they would not, the US foreign policy establishment did. $886.3 billion is the defense budget for 2023, and they call it defense spending, but we know very well that America is on the offensive. $886.3 billion, when most Americans, 64%, are living paycheck to paycheck. So when you wage unjust wars with a high cost both in dollars and human lives, and you don't take care of veterans when they get home, if they make it home, and you don't pay them fair wages, you can't be surprised when people don't want to fight on your side. In the words of George W. Bush himself, fool me once, fool me, you can't get fooled again. I don't think wokeness is what the demise of the US military can be accredited to. The US military caused its own demise when you have elites using us as pawns in this game of international domination and capital accumulation. They've orchestrated their own demise. And so when we really think about all of this, fear is a manipulation tool with a limited lifespan, and it's about reached its expiration date. And if people opening their eyes to all of that means that we are woke, okay, stay asleep, but sleep in the bed that you've made.